Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another Wargaming miniature video. In this video, we're going to do an unboxing and review our initial impressions of the Agincourt Foot Knights. Now, the Agincourt Foot Knights could be either a variety of different countries, so you can use them as English, as French, as Germans, whoever. It just depends on how you paint them up. All right, so now let's go ahead and open this up and see what you get inside. First of all, before we do that, let's look at the box itself. This box looks like it's a little beat up. I got this from Warlord Games, not directly from Perry. And it says there's 36 figures in there. And it looks like, just based on the cover picture, we're going to get some hand lances. We're going to get hammers, swords, shields, axes, two-handed swords, maybe some... who knows what else. All right, we might even get some, spikes. But I don't think we will, because this is the Foot Knights and not the Archers. Okay, now let's take kind of a gander at what it shows on the back of the box. It shows 36 figures, bases, flags, and a painted guide. And this was Alan Perry. Yeah, it says they're both English and French knights and men-at-arms at the height of the 100 Years' War. They can be used for any Western European army. They're armed with polearms, hand weapons, and cut-down lances and spears. All right, so let's go ahead and pull them out and see what we get inside. Okay, I'm going to set this box off to the side, out of the way. And as with 99% of the Perry plastics, you get this sprue. This is their base sprue, but it's not in any size that I use. These are 15 millimeter wide right there by 20 millimeter deep. So you can actually get 3 of those side by side. That winds up being about, 45 millimeters. Which I prefer 40 millimeters, and these are 45 with 2 ranks deep. So if you were doing 2 ranks, you could do like 3 across on these. So you'd have a 6-figure base right here, or if you want to do your single files, you can do like 3 figures across there, or if you need to do individual figures, 1 figure right there. But these aren't the bases I use. I use 40 by 40 for Hail Caesar, and so I don't use the 15 millimeter. But even if I had the 40 millimeter, I still could cram. I could still use these bases as and put 6 figures on a base, and then maybe put 2 bases down with 12 figures being a unit, and then when they go to march column, you just take 1 base and put it in the back of the other one, or something like that, and that would be totally acceptable for Hail Caesar, because there is no basing requirements, and these are close enough to other bases. And I don't know, I might consider using these bases because I have a collection of these. I've got quite a few of these bases from other sets that I've gotten, Napoleonics and otherwise. As long as all your armies are based similarly, then you shouldn't have any problems. Okay, so moving on from the bases, it comes with this little pamphlet. Now we're going to get back to that pamphlet after we take a look at these models. There are a couple of different sprues, I do believe. This one. Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to double up the sprues. Okay, those sprues are the same. Those sprues are the same. These 2 sprues are the same. Okay. So what basically you do, you get 2 sprues, 3 each. So like there's 6 sprues. There's 3 of these sprues and 3 of these sprues. Okay, so that's how many sprues. Now we'll zoom in and take a look at these sprues here in just a minute. But what you can see here is you're getting 6 figures per sprue, right? And so you can imagine 6, 12, 18, and then 6, 12, and 18 for a total of 36 models. Okay, so we'll actually take a closer look at those sprues here after we take a close look at this awesome little pamphlet. Okay, we'll start here. We got Knights, Men at Arms, and he gives a date range 1415 to 1428. Basically, they explain like the dukes and the princes and what they would wear, what the difference is on the helmets. Above knight has a white, or above a knight in white or all white harness, so-called, as it's shown in the sunlight. So he's talking about mostly steel. And then this knight is a hand and a half sword, normally secured to the saddle. Yeah, and it goes on. But here's the thing I wanted to really show you. Okay, this gives you some painting ideas, and it tells you the style of the different tabards or jupons, or short sleeve half coat, and when they were used and when they weren't used. And if it was this style, it was usually that type of heraldry. Like short sleeve coats usually had plain colors, where long variants usually had split or heraldic colors, and then they go on. And then they talk about the different visor types on the helmets. Okay, but right here, you got a buttload of flags. And these are all French, and these are English. And so the French banners, Charles, Duc d'Orléans, and Louis, and Jean, Duc d'Alençon, killed at Agincourt. And then it goes into all these other ones, like Charles and Jacques, Joan de Hunset, and then Banner of St. George, Sir John Grey, Thomas Grey, Sir John Cornwall, Fitzhugh, Clifford and Oxford and Huntingdon, and Gilbert, Lord Talbot, Sir Henry Hussey. So they give you a lot of different knights banners. And I found that if you have standard bearers, you can put those banners on it. Or better yet, if they have any kind of long spear like this, you can attach the banner to that. You can have them elevated above their heads and put the banner on that. Or you could just look at the banner and kind of get an idea of how their heraldry should be on their jupon. Okay. Now there's only 2 sprues and their differences. So I'm going to bring these up a little bit and see if we can't get these to focus. All right, so we've got a focus here. Now, looking at the backs, look at the detail on the tabards and their plate armor, the belt right there. You can see a little bit of the chainmail poking through underneath this gambesson. And then he's got like an aventail. Very nice. Now let's look at the front of those guys. Okay, it looks like they go to bassinet with aventail, and then you notice they make them smooth so that you can paint whatever heraldry you want on those guys. Same with these last 2. And they've got big gorgets, but you notice their faces are all exposed. Well, right above them, they got these little visors. So you can glue the visor down, covering their face, or up, or exposing their face. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with those visors. All right, now let's take a look at some of the weapons. You got swords in sheaths. So, and then these are all going to be glued to their waists, right? And then you got the bigger weapons, like the hammers we saw, double-handed axes, bastard swords, lucerne hammers. And then these guys are the short spears or the lances that have been cut down. Those can be used to carry those banners if you want. Now this is a shield. Yeah. This guy's actually wielding a sword. And they have different sleeve types, and the sleeves should pair up with certain types of japons, and that's why they show you like which ones go with which sleeves go with which up there. Not very complicated. Looks pretty easy. Should be able to paint those in no time. All right, now let's take a look at that second sprue. Okay, you see these little laurel wreaths here? Those are actually knitted with maybe cotton or horsehair inside of those, probably most likely horsehair inside these little wreaths, these little ovals. And these would go on the heads of the English knights. Only the English would wear those, not the French. And again, you've got the back sides, and then you got this guy with his, he's a higher ranking guy because of the way that's cut at the bottom. And then we flip that over, and you get their faces and their poses. Most of these have high gorgets, and then like pig face, bassinets, or the boar face. Yeah, and the weapons look very similar, and the arms look almost identical. And they get a shield, but it's over here in the corner. And you'll want to note that the shields, the curve of the shield points towards the enemy. Face towards enemy. Yeah, this back here, that's the handle. Yeah, so it curved out. There was a time in history where they felt like the curve of the shield facing towards the enemy was actually better for blocking and grabbing other weapons, and also for durability of their armor. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I wanted to do is show you the Agincourt foot knights and what you can do with them. They're men-at-arms or they're knights. And they could be from pretty much any nation. They don't have to be English and French. It's just look up the history of their heraldry and paint them up that way. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.